Everybody's ready. I'm going to start the meeting. Okay. I call this meeting to order. Due to the COVID-19 health emergency, and in order for the Board of Education to conduct its business, this board meeting is being held via video conference and streamed on YouTube on the district website at www.ebnet.org. In addition, members of the public may provide comments to this meeting through Zoom by entering the URL, meeting ID, and password you see before you on the screen. Upon joining the meeting, your participation will be muted to ensure that there is no disruption to the business being conducted by the Board of Education. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo.
Here.
Mrs. Chu.
Here.
Mr. Sismar.
Here.
Mrs. Guas.
Here.
Mr. Hong. Mrs. Wax.
Here.
Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mr. Winston.
Here.
President Becker.
Here, we have a quorum. Please rise and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published at the Board of Education offices. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast, and individuals who speak at the board's public meeting should be aware of these videotaping rules. I have a very brief statement I'd like to read. For the last 16 months, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Board of Education's meetings have been held virtually in accordance with Governor Murphy's executive orders. The governor has recently rescinded these executive orders, and public bodies will return to in-person meetings. The Board of Education will resume in-person meetings beginning with its meeting on August 5th, our next meeting. I know we're looking forward to it. I hope this is good news for everyone. We're going to start out tonight with our superintendent's report. Dr. Valesky.
Thank you, President Becker. And with your announcement, we have to return to in-person meetings. I'll have to make sure that I'm not casual on the bottom, that I'm professional on the top and the bottom.
I think we all will have that same concern, sir.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. I'm so proud to report that our child nutrition department served a total of 1,080,800 free meals. And I'll say that again, 1,080,800 free meals, including breakfast, lunch, and snack to the East Brunswick community this past school year. And that number is 300,000 meals more than last year. It is important to note that all expenses were funded by the federal and state grant programs, and there was no cost to East Brunswick taxpayers. I want to thank Joe Crotchfeld, who spearheaded this entire effort, our child nutrition staff, Aramark, school security officers, bus drivers, and our school nurses, who all contributed to this overwhelmingly successful endeavor that benefited East Brunswick students and families. We continue preparations for September, when we will return to full days of instruction with lunch for all students. And beginning the month of August, I will communicate critical updates to the community as we approach the first day of school, which is Thursday, September 9th. As I did last school year, I will continue to use phone, email, and text to keep you informed of any issues or mandates that may affect our school community. We are working hard to coordinate communication from multiple district sources, so families are not overwhelmed by multiple calls on the same evening. In addition to maintaining safe physical environments in all our schools, which became the mainstay for our successful return to 5 days a week of instruction last school year, one of our major focuses this summer is on preparing social and emotional support for our EB Schools community as we return to a more normalized school operations in September. Additional details about this and other important summer initiatives will be shared during school board meetings during the month of August. Over the past month, since the end of the school year and graduation of our class of 2021, which doesn't seem that long ago, we have been analyzing what we've learned during the pandemic and how we can reapply so many positive elements to our school instruction and operations. Using what we have learned, we will further improve East Brunswick Public Schools, as well as the educational experience of every single student. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky. One of our board members was kind enough to pass along to me a message that several parents are having trouble logging into the meeting. I know that there was an issue with the agenda that was published. The last 4 digits were incorrect. I was told that the screen that was put up at the beginning had the correct, but let me say the correct code for those of you trying to log into the meetings. 977-1264-4525. I hope that clears up any confusion. Board members, let me know if you continue to hear from anybody who's still having a problem. Thank you, Bernie. Okay. This brings us to the good of the cause to the public. Members of the public may provide comment at this meeting through Zoom by entering the URL, meeting ID and password. Once more, please. Thank you so much. Provided on the screen. In order to be recognized, use the chat feature, select the Zoom meeting host, and then enter and send your name to the host. You will be recognized to speak when your name is called, and individuals will be invited to speak in the order in which we have received your request. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. To protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. Participants will be limited to 3 minutes duration. Is there anyone wishing to address the board this evening? Bernie?
We have one individual, Mr. John Arthur.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. My name is John Arthur. I'm the new director of the East Brunswick Public Library. So obviously, as a librarian and as someone who values being a good resource to the entire community, that means being a good resource to the entire school system as well. So hopefully we'll be working together on a lot of different projects. And I just started 2 weeks ago here in East Brunswick, but I've been a librarian for a while. I started as a children's librarian. I was most recently director of the Englewood, New Jersey Public Library, and actually the director of the Metuchen Public Library before that. So I'm also familiar with Middlesex County. So I really just wanted to say hello, and I really look forward to joining the community. It's obviously a wonderful library, and it's just exciting to be a part of it. So please reach out, stop by, and we'll all work together again to make the East Brunswick Public Library the community, the heart of the community, the way it already is, but even more so. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. That was just gracious, so gracious of you. And yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. The East Brunswick Library has always been the heart of our community. And we look forward under your tenure to being back to full speed and residents being able to use it as we always have. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to introduce yourself. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you all.
Bernie, is there anyone else wishing to speak to the board?
We have no one else in the queue.
Okay, seeing none, I close the public portion.
I see a hand, like the hand symbol. I don't know. Is Shannon Christie?
I'm looking, let's see. Okay, there's a hand raised, yes. Shannon Christie.
Yes, that's me. Can I speak?
Sure.
Okay, hi. Yes, my name is Shannon Christie. I am from East Brunswick. So first off, I want to say today is National Fragile X Day. I want to make everyone aware of that. So I am a carrier and my daughter is a carrier with a pre-mutation as well. And so she is in early intervention and we are looking at the preschool program, which is awesome. Now, my grandfather is also a councilman and he helped start Camp Daisy and all this other stuff. I see a lot coming in with the critical race theory and all of this stuff, which is wonderful, you know, that you guys are looking into it. My main concern with it is I'm wondering if it's more that you should be worrying about revamping history lessons in school more than adding curriculum. I graduated East Brunswick in 2007. So I'm not, my daughter's fourth generation. So I know your system. I know what happens there. You guys, it might be different now, but what I went through and what happened to me, I slipped through a lot of cracks and a lot of stuff happened. I spoke out on issues I felt that were very important to me in history that was not taught the right way. And you guys didn't address me the right way as somebody who had intellectual disabilities. So I want this to be taught the right way. I do not want it to be taught to my daughter at a young age who is just delayed and needs help. And it may not be getting addressed the right way. Listen, I understand. I have friends who are trans and we love in my house. And I love East Brunswick. I graduated in 2007 and I'm not saying that your curriculum misses anything. And I believe that we need to teach our children about Stonewall because what happened at Stonewall is very important. So that's why I'm saying history needs to be taught because we cannot forget what happened to our gay brothers and sisters. We cannot forget what happened to our African-American brothers and sisters because there is systemic racism that is happening and education is power. And that's what people come to East Brunswick for. But we also do have a community here of children who are young with intellectual disabilities and who might have just delays that might be slipping through the crack, that it might lead to some things like abuse where maybe at home where I don't want to get church and state, but we're here and this is public, things happen. So we need to talk about that stuff because abuse is real. And, I come from a psychological standpoint. And I just really care about children. Okay. So thank you guys for listening. Just please care about children. That's all. Thank you.
Please rest assured we absolutely do. And thank you for taking the time to come speak with us tonight. I had already closed the public portion, so we're ready to move on with our agenda. Okay. Moving on to our agenda. Before I ask for items to be combined on our Board of Education agenda, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Okay. Mark, was that a hand raise?
Yes. On the policies, 1581, domestic violence.
Okay, so let's take them one at a time. There's only two. Can I please have a motion for item 1, minutes June 17th?
So moved.
Moved by Lori,
Second.
second by Li Wu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, can I please have a motion for item 2, policies, first reading? Mark, you would like, I'm sorry, which one separated out? Forget the motion part. I jumped the gun. Which one did you want separated out, sir?
Just policy 1581, domestic violence.
Okay, can I please have a motion for those policies listed on tonight's agenda, except for the first one, 1581?
So moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Mark Colangelo. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll call. Roll call.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Roll call.
Mr. Colangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries.
Yes.
Now can I please have a motion for policy 1581?
So moved.
Moved by Lori,
Second.
second by Mark Sismar. Is there any discussion? Mark Sismar.
I just have a question. The policy stated that we are allowed to grant unpaid leave to a victim of domestic violence for only up to 20 days. Is there a reason for the 20-day cap? Because I see it as a very traumatic experience at times, and I didn't know if 20 would be enough or if it's controlled by state statute. So that's my question. Where did the 20-day limit come from?
Mark, I think this came right from Strauss Esme had mandated revision to the policy, but I honestly would have to check on the 20-day cap.
Yeah, I don't know if I have to make a motion or, I would think with board approval, there's going to be circumstances where I personally would want to grant more than 20 days if necessary for somebody's unpaid leave. So
Mark?
I'm not
Matt,
sure
did you
about
have
that.
something you wanted to say?
That comes from the state statute, and folks should understand that employees who do experience that also have rights under the Family Medical Leave Act. If they're suffering psychological trauma, they could get an additional 12 weeks of continued medical benefits during that time and can utilize sick leave. So there's actually, when you add that together, you could be off for, about 4 months.
Okay.
But that does come from the state statute.
Yeah, I'll have to disagree with the state statute on that.
Yeah.
It seems light to me from the experiences, but if it's in the state statute, I can't argue that.
Absolutely.
Actually, it does beg a good question, Mark. Matt, is there ever occasion where a Board of Ed can object to something in a state statute and is there a formal appeal process, let's say? Just out of curiosity.
What the board could do is they could write to their legislature, you'd write to your state senator and assembly people and tell them that you don't believe that 20 days is sufficient, and then they could go through the amendment process of the statute.
Additionally, Mrs. Becker, the board could adopt a resolution during the periods allotted by the New Jersey School Boards Association and forward that resolution to the association for consideration in its delegate assembly, where they compile position papers from the NJSBA to take on with the state.
Yeah, some good points, Mark, and there's some good food for thought there.
Thank you.
Okay, this is also a roll call vote.
Yep. Mr. Colangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Jeff, you froze?
Yes.
Got it. And President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Before I ask to combine items 1 through 4 in our curriculum agenda, is there anything anyone would like separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 4?
So moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Lee Wu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. I'm hearing a slight echo. Bernie, do we need to mute some microphones?
All non-board member participants are muted.
Okay. On our facilities agenda, before I ask for a motion to combine items 1 through 3, is there anything anyone would like separated out? Seeing none, could I please have a motion for items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Moved by Mark Perangelo, second by Heather. Is there any discussion? Jeff, was that a hand? You froze again.
It was a 10th second. Am I frozen?
You're slightly garbled again. Susanna, I believe you did have a question? Okay.
Yeah, I just had a question related to 2 and 3. So when we go out to bid and the bids aren't within budget, when we go out to bid, do we adjust the scope or do we look for more bidders? I'm just curious, what is the process to address that if we don't get bids within our budget?
Right. In these cases, this would not be an adjustment of scope. It's really been a function of what's been happening in the economy. So if we take, for example, the courtyard project, in a matter of a couple of months, the estimated costs on that doubled to the low bidder, and that's excessive. We know that that project should not come in at that level. And then I think with regard to the second item on number 3, that is one where we are soliciting additional competition because those bids we feel came in so it depends on the circumstances. If it was a very large project, a big construction project, we would potentially have to look at modifying the scope of work, but typically that wouldn't come into play until after we've at least gone through 2 rounds of bidding.
Yeah, because I know there's significant supply chain disruptions in the construction industry. So I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that we see issues as we go out for bid for all kinds of work. So, I mean, to the extent we can delay something, that would help us save money. So I'm trying to understand, like, for example, with the courtyard, then I don't think our price is going down enough that if we rebid, we think we'll get something.
We're not planning to do a rebid immediately. We're going to hold off at least several months and see what's happening out there in the marketplace.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, Bernie, my question is, if we delay the bidding process, that will delay the beginning of the project. Will this delay cause any safety issue with the case in Lawrenceville School?
No, nothing whatsoever. It'd be fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries. Before I ask to combine items 1 through 17 on our facilities services agenda, our financial services agenda, is there anything anyone would like separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 17 on our financial services agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Mark Perangelo. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
and President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Before I ask for a motion to combine items 1 and 2 on our human resources agenda, is there anything anyone would like separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 and 2? Moved by Lori,
Second.
second by Susanna. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Colangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
and President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Before I ask to combine items 1 through 3 on our staff development agenda, can I please ask if anyone wants anything separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Li Wu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Before I ask to combine items 1 through 3 on our student services agenda, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Moved by Lori,
Second.
second by Susanna. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Colangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. I was told that our student rep is not with us this evening. So this brings us to committee reports, information items, and for the good of the cause of the board. And I would actually like to start out tonight. It would be remiss of me not to commend a lot of people for the outstanding job that was done with graduation this year. Every year it is a fine-tuned event, but this year certainly brought challenges, like with everything else. Not only were all those challenges overcome, but we were provided with a heavy dose of community that's been missing due to the pandemic. And it was wonderful to have it back. Indoor arenas provide good venues. They're practical. You don't have to worry about the weather. They're air conditioned. But to have graduation at home this year on our football field was just darn perfect. I remember going into the high school before the ceremony started and seeing the kids lined up in the halls. It was noisy, crowded, dark. I mentioned crowded. And yet I have never seen a happier bunch of students in my life. They were together in their school after a year and a half of being remote and hybrid, and then remote only, and then remote hybrid. They were together as a school community, as a class in their home. To Dr. Vanilla and Russell Petranco, you did an outstanding job spearheading this event. You and your entire team are to be commended. Dr. Valesky and your entire team. The high school staff and administrators who were with these kids every step of the way and showed up for this last step of their journey. Miller Rentals, which provided a wonderful setting. And I think they also put in an order for the perfect weather we had. The East Brunswick Education Foundation and Jack Levitt provided a lift for all of us with a banner flying overhead attached to an airplane. People are still talking about it. It gave everyone such a boost. Our district security staff, who kept everyone safe, as they always do, and everything orderly, along with our East Brunswick police and first responders, again, keeping everyone safe and orderly as they always do. The high school PTA, active right through the last day. The East Brunswick Township and the mayor, everyone doing their part, coming together as stakeholders in this event. The parents, families, friends of our graduates. We've said it before, you guys are our heroes. What you have gone through, your commitment and compassion and dedication with your children this past year and a half is nothing short of remarkable. And the senior class. I believe I can sum you up in 3 words, if I can struggle to pronounce one of them correctly. Possessing indomitable, Heather, correct me, indomitable spirit. You're an amazing, accomplished group of young men and women. If I've left anyone out, I'm sorry. Again, all stakeholders who had anything to do with this wonderful send-off. We thank you so much. Okay. Any other board members wishing to speak? Lori.
There's really nothing more that anybody can say. You said everything so eloquently. I just wanted to go back to one thing that I find very interesting. Year after year, and as someone who graduated on that field, there really was a part of me that loved being there and seeing those kids because I have those memories. And as a board member that's been there giving diplomas out in the Sun Center or Cure Center, whatever it's called now, there's something beautiful about the pomp and circumstance there versus this. But I have to tell you, you're absolutely right. The community aspect of this was so beautiful. And if we didn't have the open arena, and I know you thanked Jack and you thanked the Education Foundation, you're right. That plane, and it's funny, we get so many grants year after year from the Education Foundation. They do so much for this district. But the irony about that was something so small, big, but some really did put a smile on people's faces. Between that and being greeted with a water bottle on a hot day, you never thought about that. We think about the grants, but you never thought about the human touch and the fact that everybody as a community was all looking up there and just, coming together. It was even better than my graduation, which I thought was the greatest graduation in the history of East Brunswick. So, yeah, kudos to everybody.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, I have 2 things tonight. But first, I was very happy to hear in the superintendent's report from Dr. Valesky about the attention that's going to be paid on the mental health of our community coming out of this pandemic. I've been an advocate all year round and have probably made some requests and maybe requests that probably stretch some of the individuals within this district. And it comes from a pure place. I'm happy to see it getting the attention that it deserves. I won't use names, but in the community next to ours, I read about a heartbreaking story, which I'm sure some of you may have been exposed to if you're familiar, of a young lady who unfortunately her issues in mental health and some of the other issues really took hold of her, and unfortunately she was not alive to attend her graduation. And from what I read, it was completely mishandled from the neighboring district. I am happy to hear that it's on your radar, Dr. Valesky. I look forward to hearing a presentation by the guidance department and hear about what they're going to be doing and changes going forward that could encourage us. So with that, I just want to thank you for taking that issue up.
Well said.
And lastly, and I'm not sure where a protocol dictates this or where appropriate, so I'm going to offer in as a motion, and this motion, if this is the appropriate place, thank you. And if it gets seconded, I would like to make a motion that that push down into the policy committee a look at a bylaw, and I would like that bylaw to be explored with the board's approval to limit executive positions within this board to 2 years on with a 1-year break. I think it's very important that we get a difference in culture, in energy, in ideas, and exchanges coming from the executive level of president and vice president. And I think that would allow 2 years in, 1 year off to apply a proper rotation so many others can bring to the table their leadership skills and their ideas and their cultural differences that may in fact benefit this entire community. So I would like to offer that as a motion. The motion specifically is to explore this idea, push it down to policy for the wording, and bring it back to the board for a vote. And that is a motion.
Matthew, just ask for a second. Is this during this? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll give a
Mark
second to,
Sizemore?
yes, I'll give a second to explore it.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? I don't think that motion carried.
Mrs. Becker, I didn't hear very much of a voice vote across the board.
I would suggest you guys just call roll so you can hear it. Bernie.
Okay. Okay. Bernie, please call a roll.
Will do. Mr. Colangelo,
I'm in favor of this, yes.
Mrs. Chu,
No.
Mr. Sizemore,
I'm in favor of going to policy, yes.
Mrs. Guas,
No.
Mr. Hong,
Abstain.
Mrs. Lax,
No.
Mrs. Reese,
No.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
No,
The motion fails.
motion doesn't carry. Mark? Colangelo?
Hey, guys. Coming from the people who said no, is there anyone that wants to add why they would say no? I'm asking a question. You know, anyone want to
Lori?
offer?
Lori?
I can only speak for myself. The reason that I said no is that I don't think that you necessarily have to limit people's ability to run for leadership. The board is 9 members, and every year, every January, whether the 9 members are the same or different based on the election, you have the ability to elect a president and a vice president. And if you feel that someone is not doing a good job, if you feel someone's been there too long, if you feel someone doesn't represent your views, you have the ability to do that. I don't think we need a policy to change the makeup of the leadership. That's just my opinion. That's why I voted no, Mark.
Thanks, Lori.
I agree. Anyone else?
I think, as board member, everyone has a voting right for one, and there's no reason to explain why you vote for yes or no. So I don't think this question is proper for us to answer. Even I vote abstain.
Well, in my thoughts, I want to learn,
I'm sorry, Mark?
I think Lewa was trying to intimate that maybe me asking the question of why was inappropriate, but I just want to learn. That's all I'm trying to.
Oh, I don't think so, Lewu.
Maybe I misunderstood.
I didn't interpret it as that, but
Okay. Yeah, I just want to learn. That's all I'm interested in.
of course.
I value everyone here so much, so.
Questions are always encouraged. Lori?
I just wanted to follow up with that. So Mark, and I feel bad about this. You, as a new board member, have experienced the Board of Education in the Zoom world. You never got to sit around the table and to have conversations and to get to know your fellow board members. Thankfully, as Mrs. Becker said, you're going to have that opportunity at our next meeting. So, no, so I realize that as a new board member, a lot of this is new to you and you're learning across a computer screen. But personally, going forward, and I hope you have a long and healthy tenure on the board, you will find that the leadership is just that. The electorate elects 9 individual members to the Board of Education. The leadership of the Board of Education is something that is decided upon just between those 9 members. And the reason that it's between those 9 members is you're basically taking and deciding who you want to run the meetings and lead the board. If you find that you don't agree with that person, as I said, you're going to have time because generally you're on the board for, at least a year with them. I realize for you, you came in your first day, you're being asked to make decisions about people that you don't know and you have no idea. My advice to someone coming in the future is abstain. If you're new and there's a change in leadership and there's a contested race, then maybe you abstain if you don't know. But generally for all of us, you're going to get to know the people around this computer screen a little bit better. And that's how you get to know their philosophies, how that they would, come at leadership and the way that they would run a board or,
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
So hopefully for you, you're in such a, you're in such a distinct individual situation because none of us came into it this way. We had to adapt to Zoom, but we all had relationships and, we've gotten to work with each other. So for you, hopefully that'll become a little bit easier for you because you can also ask questions around the table. You're in a position where you can't, look to the person to your left or right and say, hey, you know what, I'm not sure what to do here. And we all had that. And I'm sorry you didn't get to have that, but it will get easier.
I want to sit next to you anyway, Lori, so,
I bake cookies.
I hope so.
Lori, I think you brought up a really good point, and I think that a reminder: we're all 9 individuals. We each have 1 vote. No one has any special power or authority. The board's culture is decided by the 9 individuals who make it up at any given time, and I think we have a great group, and we have an opportunity to embrace a culture and to communicate. And again, Mark, Lori brought up a really good point. It's going to be a whole new dynamic when we're in person. And I think you'll really get a lot out of it.
Well, I think where my error is coming is I've only reached out to maybe 4 board members for advice. And, Dr. Valesky too, I've reached out to. So I think I need to broaden who I reach out to, maybe Barbara Moore or someone else, Susanna. So, I think I need to be better at who I reach out to as well.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else? Anyone else for anything good to the cause? I'm sorry, Lewu?
I have an additional comment. Mark, the reason why I said that, I got so many trials. I have, so many times the different jurors give different opinion. I'm not allowed to ask why you did that. So that's why I think that we are allowed to do whatever, based on own personal judgment experience. So we should respect each other's opinion. So after the meeting, if you want to communicate with anyone, want to know what is his or her decision-making process, it's free to communicate. But I don't think it's a good idea to ask this at this moment. But that's my own opinion, nothing personal.
I don't take anything personal.
Okay, was there anyone else with committee report information item for the good of the cause for the board? Okay, just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. We do have a need for a closed session, whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting. And these subjects are within the exceptions to the Open Public Meeting Act. The Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows. Those items listed in tonight's agenda. The length of the closed session is estimated to be 1 hour, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action will not be taken. Can I please have a motion to go into closed session? Moved by Lori. Second by Mark Colangelo. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you for joining us tonight. Board members, please leave this meeting and log into closed session. Enjoy the rest of July. Bye-bye.